So, you guys really liked seeing this, and I feel this is a long-awaited sequel to the Why Did I Abandon This? My Disney-themed Wreck This Journal. I will link the original just flip through in case you guys aren't interested in me talking about it, right here somewhere, I think. Here, I don't know. I'll link it up. And without further ado, let's get into the whole process behind this masterpiece. Enjoy the dulcet tones of my dog eating in the background. He hasn't eaten all day, but once I record a video, that's when he decides to crunch his munchies. So, first things first, how I started this whole book, the ideas for it, how I organized it, started with this page here, and I never did this page. I figured what I would do is I would find every single Disney movie, put them in chronological order, and, well, not make them in chronological order, but put them in chronological order, and that would be the number of the page. So Hercules was the 39th movie in the list. I think Aristocats was 19, I don't know. But I have this just composition notebook. Here's the original movie list. As you can see, it's, you know, terrifying. Let's see. Yeah, Aristocats was 17. Here, you can barely read it. But I went to the Disney website, I found every single Disney movie from my childhood. I eliminated sing-alongs, or I think there's one like the Three Bandejos or something like that. I eliminated stuff like that, more of the live stuff, and stuck to the classic Disney movies. So I do have some like real people ones like Pirates of the Caribbean, and they're more famous franchises. I did include well-known sequels, such as The Lion King 2, The Jungle Book 2, Lady and the Tramp 2, sequels that I had growing up. I don't think I included the Aladdin ones. I think I included sequels that had either the original animation style or the original actors, like they kept up with the same quality of animation. So the ones that are kind of looked down upon, such as the third Hunchback of Notre Dame, things like that, I eliminated. Then I took every single page of the Wreck This Journal and I wrote down my ideas. So this is the first list of it, and I would circle ones that I liked and cross them off if I did them. Once this got too unwieldy, I did a second list of pages left, and put more ideas. So basically I would pair each movie with a page and cross it off as soon as I did, once I approved the design and once I thought it was a good fit. And sometimes I knew right away what I wanted to do, and other times I had no idea, so I would leave it blank and come back to it and see what movies I had left. Sometimes a movie would take up 2 slots, and if it did that, and another movie could fit in that same page, I picked which page I liked better for each movie, and so on and so forth. It was pretty involved. And then sometimes I hadn't seen some of these movies, like I hadn't seen Ichabod and Mr. Toad. I hadn't seen, I think, Mary Poppins at the time, because I think my mom has something against Julie Andrews. She denies it, but I didn't have Mary Poppins or Sound of Music growing up. Explain that. Anyways, I hadn't seen Christmas Carol, the new one that they did. I hadn't seen Sleeping Beauty, which was a classic that we didn't have growing up. Or Fantasia. So I would just find them whichever way I could and watch them and then get ideas for pages. Like, I would be thinking about the Reckless Journal while I was watching this movie. I finished that page. And this here is I would go through every single movie and think of every character I could possibly think of, and that was for the front pages of the journal. I would get pictures of them, trace them essentially, color them in, cut them out, and paste them here. And that's where all of these characters come from. So if a movie didn't have a page, it would have a character at least somewhere in the book. Like, I ended up taking this to Disney, like for my autograph book. So if they didn't have a page yet already, they signed here and I would put their icon with them. And then they would receive their page later if I had planned it or whatever. But I went through the list and thought of every single character that I could from each movie, and I would check them off as I did them. That's what these pages are from, most likely. I was tracing. I think I traced this one. This was for a page. This was for a page. This was for a page. But some of them were just characters that I printed out and traced over. Yeah, and here's pages left. Some of these I finished. Another movie's left. Even more. And also Disney was coming out with new movies, and so I just cut it off at Toy Story 4. Any movie after Toy Story 4 is not included in this, or would be. Yeah, movies left. So after all of that planning, that's when I would do my journal. The first thing I did in this journal was, I want to say, my Aristocats page for Crack the Spine. I think that was the first page I did in my other Reckless journal, so I started here. And this is the man George from the Aristocats and his little song, Ta-ra-ra boom die, ta-ra-ra boom die. And I probably should have put the Aristocats around him, but I really liked how the page looked. So let's start from the beginning. The cover idea obviously is Mickey Mouse, and how I achieved this was through scrapbook paper and brass brads, I think they're called. They're those little tacks that you can split open. They have like two little legs, so I don't think you can see. Yeah, I covered all their closures so that way you could, oh, here, right here. I don't know if you can see that, but those little things that it allows them to move and twist around, and that's what I needed so that way I wouldn't have a book like this with his feet and everything to have to flip open. So you show them, you close it, and that way it keeps it from getting damaged. I didn't have enough brads at the time, so I was going to a farm school, and this leg is tied with floriculture wire, so floral wire. And that's why it fell off in the tour video, because it doesn't have a brad, it has floriculture wire. Pretty straightforward, like I was saying. I found every character in every single movie that I could think of and drew them. I wish I did everybody outlined in pen, because the ones that I did in pencil, as you can see, are super washed out, not very clear. They've been scrubbing against the pages and stuff. Like, this is pretty old. This is from high school, and I have graduated college at this point. I wish I did everybody in pen so they'd be nice and clear. They're the ones who pop off the page while everybody else kind of fades into the background. And then somebody commented that I put my address and phone number in the original show. The reason why it wasn't blocked out was because this isn't my address and this isn't my phone number. This is obviously P. Sherman, 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney, the big address everybody knows from Finding Nemo. And then this phone number, I don't know if you guys remember, or I guess it's still around. when you used to text and before phones had a full keyboard, you basically had to press your number until it got to a letter. And some phone numbers still spell out words technically, even though the number's not there multiple times. It just has, each number has 3 letters on it so you can spell things. This spells out Disneyland. I wanted to put Disney World because that's the one I've been to. That's the one in Florida, but that's not a phone number length. Disneyland works. So that spells out Disneyland. And then for all of the names here, I tried to go with some kind of theme, but I mean, it's not super obvious. Like Julia Poppins, write your name in white. I thought of Mary Poppins as a red and white color scheme for some reason, so I thought that worked well. Write your name illegibly. Julia Pan, so like Peter Pan, who is a lost boy and never went to school, like for an illegible name. Your name in tiny letters. I put Julia Hood for Robin Hood because I figured Robin Hood would want to hide. Write your name backwards. Julia in Wonderland, obviously for Alice in Wonderland. Write your name very faintly. Julia Fitzherbert, because of Eugene Fitzherbert. I didn't want to admit that I was in love with him. And then write your name using large letters, who I wish I was, Princess Julia. And then I forgot what, but I have it all written down, what I was gonna plan. But anyways, that doesn't really matter. I'll maybe get to that some other day, some other time. Maybe. I'll come back to this. I've abandoned it quite thoroughly. Instructions, the journal asks you to draw over these pages, so I thought of the quote, what is it with men and asking for directions, from Dory. And obviously I replaced directions with instructions, and I got scrapbook paper and made little fish as their arrow that they did, and then the wall of jellyfish they go through. Materials, I had something, this I remember I was just going to put all the years that the movies were made. I explained that one, Tarara Boom Da. So this was leave this page blank on purpose, and nobody ever really does. If you've looked at the Wreck This Journal community, I was really into it on Instagram for a very long time. So I thought immediately of Get Off My Case from Megara in Hercules. She's actually one of my favorite characters ever. But anyways, it took me forever to get this reference, because I was a young artist at that point. I had no idea how to draw these things. A lot of this is heavily referenced or traced. So please know this is not my own drawing talent. This is heavily, heavily referenced. And it was just for me. I wasn't gonna sell this thing. I would show it to people, obviously, but most of it is a direct reference from a screen cap or official Disney photograph. But yeah, anyways, enough of that. So stand here. I thought of Peter standing on his shadow, and then I put his quote, I wasn't crying about mothers. I was crying because I can't get my shadow to stick on. Besides, I wasn't crying. And then when I went to Disney, I met Peter and Wendy, and I showed him to have him sign it, and him and Wendy both stood on my journal, which was super fun, super cute. This one, this wasn't tracing, this was reference, and I was so proud of myself because it wasn't tracing and I got it to look so nice. I was in an I was in a night class at a community college, a dual enrollment class, and I just finished the tea, so I was drawing while I was supposed to be listening to the lecture, but you know. And then this one, I don't remember the original artist, but this was not an original idea of mine. The way I laid it out was original. This I drew myself by hand. I did reference it, but I didn't trace. You can tell because it's super wonky. And all the balloons I hand drew and colored and all that. Obviously I hand colored it. But the idea for using up for this page came from somebody else. I didn't directly reference their layout though, like I was saying. And then I like to fill in the blanks. So this is from Holes on the opposite side of the page where you poke holes. And I put the quote, "You're not digging for anything, you're building character." And I put Shia LaBeouf and Mr. Sir. And then draw fat lines and thin lines. I thought of Herbie and his racing stripes, so Herbie fully loaded. And then the quote, "This car just winked at me." And then this, you can tell by the dog ear, is one of my favorite pages. It was one of my first pages that I did, and it was for handprints or fingerprints, get them dirty and press down. So I thought of that scene in Tarzan where Jane and Tarzan's hands touch, obviously. This is the scene. And I just finger painted the background around them and then made their hands. To make Tarzan's skin color, I had to use 2 markers because they didn't have, like, Jane is very, very fair in the movie and Tarzan is very tanned and, you know, from the jungle. So I had to use her skin color, and then this brown, I think it's a scented marker from the Crayola set, which is one of my favorites. I think it's like the cinnamon scent or something like that. But his skin color is 2. And this is one of my favorite pages still to this day. I love it. I think it's a really good idea. This was an original idea of mine, and I was so pleased with it. This page I hate, and I feel so bad because Oliver and Company is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Disney movies. But this is what happens when you use pencils. Everything looks flat. My colored pencils were really garbage. Everything looks flat. Everything looks awful. I didn't really plan it out. And I just put a bunch of quotes, and it's not good. And I'm so sorry because Oliver is my favorite. If you haven't seen this movie, the music's by Billy Joel, and it's an excellent 80s Disney movie that was forgotten, late 80s. Obviously, Merida and her famous archery scene, pretty self-explanatory. So throw something, a pencil. I just threw my markers, I'm pretty sure. This page used to be really pretty. The petals used to be this bright, bright pink, and now they've since aged underneath the tape. But this was pressed leaves or other found things. So I thought of the part in Pocahontas with the wind and it goes through her hair and her song. And I got Pocahontas to sign it when I went. So Kovu from The Lion King 2, I love him. And this song is iconic. And we're gonna move on. I scratched his scar, like when Simba gave him the scar, like Scar, his father. Rubbings with a pencil. These were all Disney pennies that I got at Disney. They have those like crank machines. Scribble wildly, violently with reckless abandon. I don't know why. I think it was her hair that made me think to scribble them, and maybe Winifred's too. But this is one of my favorite Halloween movies ever. I try to watch it every Halloween. This page, you would not believe how hard I had to look for the reference for this. And I ended up making Stitch too big, which is why his ear folds out and folds in. But I had to look so hard. This is Lilo's actual painting on her canvas, what she painted, that I had to find and draw because I needed it to be accurate. Old Yeller. This is an image from one of my Disney Golden books that I had. I have these big collections of Disney Golden books, and it has Old Yeller in it. And I thought this would be a good pop-out. So it didn't really go exactly with this, but I thought the pop-out would be fun with this image. This one is Gaston talking to Belle as she's reading her book. How can you read this? There's no pictures. And, well, some people use their imagination. And when I went to Disney, when I met Belle, she wasn't in her princess gown. She was in her town dress. And I remember 2 little girls were complaining about that while me and my friend Carolyn, we were so excited that she wasn't in her princess dress, that she was in her town dress. Some more jingle and jangling from Otis eating his food. Don't mind him. He won't eat until I record. It's great. And then fill this page with circles. I drew this on Mother's Day, and I'm not sure what this says about me. But this wasn't one where Oh, maybe it was, yeah. I thought of all the different flowers and how I could make them just out of simple circles. So that's why this page fit with the movie. And then because the marker is a water-based marker and this paper isn't marker paper, it's kind of like coloring book page feel, and I love that about Wreck This journals. It bleeds through, so there would be times where I'd have to glue pages in from computer paper, stuff like that. Document your dinner. I thought of Spirited Away. I had just watched that with a friend. I included Studio Ghibli films because Disney distributed them in America. So I know that these are not Disney movies. They're Studio Ghibli, but I think they have the same feel as a Disney movie, if not a little more magical. So I had just watched this movie and thought of this one. Guys, don't take that food, we're gonna get in trouble. And it's her dad and her mom taking all the spirits' food and then being turned into pigs because of it. This was one of my earlier pages as well. This is from Lady and the Tramp. I took this as my Lady and the Tramp 2, even though in Lady and the Tramp 2 they're bigger puppies now. It's the chew on this page, and I had Scamp pulling the page up and chewing on it. This page was tear out and crumple, and normally you're supposed to tear out and crumple the whole page, but I crumpled this tiny little bit because I remembered, like, in middle school, kids would crumple up white paper until it was like almost like a fabric. And I thought of Blanky from The Brave Little Toaster. Make a paper plane. So this was a page that was torn out and you folded it up. I did add computer paper. So what is the Wreck This Journal page is his wings, his scarf, his body here, his other wing. I think the mice are computer paper. The tin can is Wreck This Journal. And computer paper is his head, the mice, his feet, this blanket, this part of his belly here. And this is from The Rescuers. Wrap something with this page. This was another earlier page, one I had an immediate idea for. In the first part of Lady and the Tramp, they get Lady wrapped up in this little hat box, which I don't recommend wrapping puppies in hat boxes for Christmas, but here's Lady and it moves. I really enjoyed making moving pieces for my Wreck This Journal. Make a funnel. So when it was all wrapped up, it looked like the incinerator in Toy Story 4. This I think I drew myself, as you can tell. Oh, thank you, Otis. Tongue painting. I did paint this with my tongue. This page is full of my saliva. And Skittles. I think I used Skittles because they're a very colorful candy. This page went kind of viral on Instagram. This was my write this one word over and over, and these I did draw myself with some reference, obviously. So each thing has Disney hidden in it. So the mice is sewing, it says Disney. Bolt's carrot toy says Disney on it. Ariel's tail. The leaf on Pinocchio's nose is the Y for Disney. Disney. This was a design that was going around for a while of Stitch, and it said Ohana, so I put Disney. Disney in the smoke of the genie lamp. Disney instead of Andy on the boot. And then Disney hidden in Rapunzel's hair. And then this big Disney all around it is from the 90s. Disney logo from the 90s that they used to put on shirts and stuff, and it has all their kind of classic characters. These were tire tracks from Cars, and it also had Disney hidden within, but then it got punched out. This is one of my favorite pages, even though it's not dog-eared. I used the Brads again. Oh no, he's ripping. His arm's ripping off. I had to find a Pinocchio paper doll because I didn't know how to make paper dolls. So I actually found a vintage Pinocchio paper doll from when the movie first came out. And I don't know if it was in a magazine or if it was, I don't know what kind of product it was where you bought it. And I copied that where all the joints were. And then I took hot glue and put in cursive with white string, "There are no strings on me." And this was the tie a string to the spine of the book. "There are no strings on me." This one, Fantasia, pick up the journal without using your hands, and I did Mickey in his magic pose and magic swirling all around. I drew this myself, and I messed up her mouth, and markers don't go over whiteout very well, and I was so mad about it because I had worked so hard. This page took so long, and it's not that great. And I messed up, and I got so angry. This is one of my absolute favorite pages, and if you're wondering why the tiger lily in particular is not flat, is because I filled her loops with hot glue so that way she wouldn't get flattened, because I planned ahead. And the dandelion is my absolute favorite flower. It's actually my favorite flower in real life too, even though it's a weed, but I don't believe in weeds. But anyways, the dandelion and the tiger lily are my favorites. I really loved how I believe she's supposed to be an orchid. I really loved how they made it very Edwardian, which is when Alice comes from, I believe. Her collar and everything. If you look at the design of the flower, she's actually wearing an Edwardian blouse, which I love. And then the roses, the pansies, and I loved this little lady with her cap. They made it a hat of her petals. And I just got scrapbook paper on the background that I used. Because I was using kind of kids supplies, you can see how old it is because the black is turning green, because black does that when it ages, if it's a water-based ink. These fake flowers were from me and my friend making flower crowns, and I had a lot left over, so I used the leaves and the flowers that I had, and it worked out so well. Tiger lily is completely handmade from computer paper. That's Otis. Now instead of eating his food, he's chewing, he's got cheese bars. They're like, you don't need to hear about my dog's dog treats. Anyways, they're crunchy and loud. This is another one of my earlier pages, and it was do a really ugly drawing, use ugly subject matter. And I thought of Quasimodo and the Ugly Stepsisters and a comparison between the two. So the quote, some people are beautiful on the inside while others, and I thought it was really funny. She gets redeemed in Cinderella too. She falls in love with a baker, and it's really cute. So, you know. But I love Hunchback of Notre Dame. I think, once again, it's a very underrated Disney movie, and as a person who was raised Catholic, it's very interesting, and someone who loves Victor Hugo, I just have a lot of connection to it, and I think it's a beautiful, beautiful movie, beautiful music, beautiful imagery. Really, really good. This was going to be a Winnie the Pooh page here, I believe, because sticky things. Yeah, I have another Winnie the Pooh page though, but he has a couple of movies, so I figured whatever. This was Pretend You Are Doodling on the Back of an Envelope. I thought of the mountain in Homeward Bound. This I obviously drew by myself. The font. I'm not a calligrapher. I found this font and all the letters from it and traced it. Or I think I tried to draw, I think this is traced. Yeah, this is traced. Journal golf. What Disney character plays every sport ever? Air Bud. Who hasn't played golf? Air Bud. So I did Air Buddy, and I did his very, very 90s school uniform colors, and imagined him as golf, and then his number was always K9, because he's a dog that plays sports. I loved Air Buddy. I know I'm making a lot of fun of it, but I loved Air Buddy. We have the original one on VHS, and it's such a good movie. Make a paper chain. Mowgli swinging through the vines in the jungle. Collect fruit stickers here. Originally this page just had this fruit sticker from a peach, I think. Oh, it's from a lemon. Okay, I'm a liar. But James and the Giant Peach, I figured, easy. This page is a little more obscure. I feel like not a lot of people watch this movie, including me, but I don't hear many people talking about it. But it is a Disney movie. I believe it's the life of Timothy Green or something, Timothy Green. And he like comes from the ground, like his parents make all these wishes for him, and he comes up from the ground and he has these leaves on his ankles. Thank you, Otis, for the lovely soundtrack. But this page was to use office supplies to cover it. So these leaves are all sticky notes. This is all little tiny notepad. And these notes are all of the parents' wishes. And I tried to find screen grabs of each of how they wrote them. This is how the notes looked, basically. I was obsessed with getting little details. Bring this book in the shower with you. Why I thought of Ariel, I guess water. In a disturbing twist, she takes off her tail instead of just not having one. Oh, there is a bath scene in Ariel, but in this one, I don't know, I guess she got her tail back and she can, you know, change out whenever. I think the mermaid blankets were getting popular. I don't know. It was something cute to put up with her shell bra. And then other people got really disturbed by it. I did not take this in the actual shower with me. I brought this in the rain, in a rain shower, and used it as my umbrella while I was waiting for the bus for school. Because as much as this is a Wreck This journal, I already had a journal that I wrecked as a Wreck This journal. This is one I wanted to keep and make art with. Oh, The Great Mouse Detective. I had just watched this movie with a friend. We walked the journals way in advance of me doing this page, but I had 3 Wreck This journals at one point. And so I gave him one that I hadn't done the walking page with, and I had this one. And we walked it around his street on a string. Rub here with dirt. I think this was another one I did with my friend that I walked the journal with. We just got dirt and rubbed it all around. And then I wrote, I got a jar of dirt, I got a jar of dirt. You know, pretty self-explanatory why I chose this for this page. This page used to be so much prettier until I did the next one after it, but I got Rapunzel to sign it, and she invited me to come paint with her, just so everybody knows. Drip something. I took a old hot glue gun and crayons that didn't matter, and this was right after Robin Williams passed, unfortunately. And I remember watching this movie maybe once or twice when I was younger, back in the 90s. And I don't really have much recollection of it other than that. I have no idea, like, the plot and stuff like that. I know he makes him and he's a mess and he parties in the house, but I don't remember the plot of the movie other than that. This was me drawing myself from a reference image of Robin Williams, but this was when I was learning how to draw people and get their likeness. And I thought I did really well, and this page is pretty special to me because Robin Williams is kind of special to all of us, I think. Next page. So on this page, I made this Winnie the Pooh. I embroidered it myself. He has stuffing in his belly, and this string, you can actually, if you wanted to, unstitch him to put his stuffing back inside his belly like he does. This page from a newspaper, I thought of that part in The Incredibles when they're doing all of the news reporting about like all the superheroes retiring and getting in trouble and things like that. I found the exact newspaper page. I couldn't find like the right sizes in my newspaper, so I had to find newspaper print font, do it myself. You can see I tried to keep it all straight and then the lines wouldn't erase. But I spent a lot of time on this and then I gave up at the bottom. But this is his actual headline. This is the actual newspaper and what it looked like in the movie. This was a movie that had come out while I was making the journal. It was Into the Woods, and it was a place for your grocery list. I had no idea what I was going to do for this page, and then this movie came out and saved my life. In the movie, if you haven't seen it, it's a musical, and this, I think it's James Corden's character. There's quite a few different characters that are through it. He is trying to make sure his wife can have a baby, I think, and the witch makes him get all of these things. Or maybe it's... No, him and her are married. Okay, yeah, it's the couple and they're trying to get these things so the witch will let them have a baby. Cape is red as blood, hair is yellow as corn, slippers as pure as gold, and cow as white as milk. So I wrote it in those colors, and then I had the little items, and then I had the witch. I think it was played by Meryl Streep. Was she? Guys, tell me if you're a big Into the Woods fan. Let me know fill me in. It's been a long time since I looked at this and since I've watched all of these movies. This was gonna be for Disney stamps. I don't know how many letters you guys get, but I get quite a few comparably to most people. But in that few, maybe one ever has had a Disney stamp on it, but I know they sell Disney stamps, so I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. I think maybe, I don't know. I had a plan somewhere in there. I forgot what it was. Trace all the things in your bag. This was gonna be the bag that I brought to Disney World with me, like my fanny pack or whatever I wore, or my drawstring. This was cover this page in white things, and then I promptly covered it in blue things because of ice and Frozen. The year that I went to Disney, Frozen had just come out, so I included it in the journal before I went, and that was the year where you had to wait, I think, like 6 hours or something crazy to see Elsa and Anna. And all of my friends, we were in the Magic Kingdom, and I'm not a big theme park, amusement park ride person. Thankfully, neither were my friends. We wanted to go and see Disney. Like, you can ride a roller coaster anywhere. We wanted to go and like see the characters, and like we know they're characters, but it's so much fun and people are acting and things like that. It's just fun, like, and stupid. And people should be more open to that. So we were at Magic Kingdom and we were debating, there's like this princess castle and there's 2 routes and they have a sign of who's on what side. And I think it was Cinderella, Aurora, and somebody else, and then on the other side it was Mystery Princess, and the wait for the ones that we knew was, I think, 2 hours, and the Mystery Princess was a 30-minute wait. And we were thinking like, oh well, do we want the ones that who we know it is, or should we go see the Mystery Princess? And somebody came up behind us and they were like, you want to see the Mystery Princesses? And we were like, okay. And we went, and it was Anna and Elsa. We saw Anna and Elsa the year Frozen came out in 30 minutes. 30 minutes. We had to wait to see them, and that was it. And so we were quite blessed. They were a lot of fun. I showed them this page, and they were making fun of Kristoff, which was pretty funny. Scribble wildly using only borrowed pens. I remember the exact class I did this in. I was in one of my animal classes, and I was asking everybody to give me their pens, and I scribbled Frankenweenie. I'm not a huge Tim Burton fan. If I'm honest, his claymations scare me. I know this is so horrible and people are gonna get so mad, but like, A Nightmare Before Christmas scares the hell out of me. I cannot watch that movie or even listen to the song This Is Halloween without feeling afraid. I remember once the Corpse Bride commercial came on when I was sleeping over my aunt's house, and I cried and had to go home because I couldn't sleep. Like, they scare me. And maybe that'd be different now if I watched them, but I don't know. I thought this one was cute though, and so that's why I included this. Like, it seemed a cute premise. It wasn't outwardly super scary. I love his live movies, like Edward Scissorhands. I love it. So I'm sure I would like the stories, but the imagery scares me. This was make a sudden movement, unpredictable movement with the journal. So Bolt, I remember Miley Cyrus, she would go, Bolt, Bolt, and he would do his thing. And so I thought that was a sudden, unpredictable movement. I had to look up coloring pages because this was also a 3D animated movie, and I couldn't find out how to draw Bolt. So I had to look up coloring book pages, like official Disney coloring books of him. I am very sad about this page because it used to be really funny. This was make a mess and clean it up. I thought of in 101 Dalmatians when they cover themselves in the soot to get away from Cruella de Vil. I had a charcoal face mask and I was like, oh, perfect, charcoal. and I put it over the drawings, and you used to be able to see them, and it looked just like the movie where they look like black labs. And since then, it's aged and is bled through the journal and has made a mess. Yeah, it's made a mess. Thankfully, it didn't infect too many pages because I used paint in this journal as well, and that seemed to block it out. Another archery. I think this was because I couldn't find another page for Robin Hood. I wanted to put it on the Merida page, but then I didn't have a Merida page. So I did this page and made that from it. I loved this movie growing up. I had a cassette tape of it, and I would listen to it every night for months on end. Every night. Page of Good Thoughts, the song from Snow White, you know, someday my prince will come, someday we'll meet again, you know, her positive thoughts. I was gonna do Peter Pan, but I already did Peter Pan, and I don't think I had a Snow White page, so there it goes. I did this with my friend who I walked the journal with. We cut up some lemons, I think, used them, cooked with them, and then pressed them down in these Italian colors, in the colors of Ratatouille. Italian. In the colors of Ratatouille. And I found these colors from a magazine and did Chef Remy's Kitchen and Remy the Rat from Ratatouille. Ask a friend to do something destructive with this page. This is what my friend did. And I think it's from Tangled. And it's her pan. I don't remember my idea for this, but I think I had one. I was going to use this page for all of the Disney movie tickets that I went to see, so you can see this was the year I graduated, so it's been, you can see as you can't see at all. This was the year I graduated from high school, so it's been a while since I've seen Into the Woods, Finding Nemo. I saw Saving Mr. Banks in 2013. Whew, okay. And that came out while I was making it. Into the Woods came out while I was making it. So I did this journal over quite a few. And then I found these from magazines. We had a behind the scenes tour of the Animal Kingdom because we were a vocational high school who did their Disney Yes program. That's why we went to Disney. And I got to be trained as an animal. Which was fun. I got to be clicker trained, essentially. I didn't know what they were asking me to do, but they successfully taught me a trick through the use of a clicker. This page took the most time and is the one people really, really love. It's the Aladdin sliding down through the laundry lines, like in the movie with his bread. How I did this page. It is 2 layers of scrapbook paper. So that way it could have a track. So the top layer has a track cut through it, and then Aladdin is stuck on to a piece of paper that the silver brads are stuck to. And I think there's 3 brads on the back of him, or 2 maybe, that slide through the track so he can go up and down. And this was the page to do your laundry. I think I did actually put it through the laundry. And then I made all the laundry from it and in that scene, and that's why I picked this particular scene for that page. This was the punch through every layer of the book, or I don't remember the exact wording, and I found all the interesting kind of punches. Here's my Better Oliver and Company page. I don't think it smells anymore, but I had this Paris perfume from Bath and Body Works, and let me see, I'm gonna smell it, so I'm gonna bring it out. Oh, okay, it still smells like it. Infuse this page with the smell of your choosing. And I picked Georgette because she's all glamorous and she uses perfumes and creams and all those things. And her song is Perfect Isn't Easy, but it's me. This is a direct ripoff of Thomas Kincaid's Lion King painting. Color outside the lines, I thought the circle of life, and I thought it would fit into the image. And then I colored it with colored pencils. Close your eyes and connect the dots from memory. I did, you know, the 101 Dalmatians again, because there's 2 movies of them, and then there's also a live one, but we don't talk about that one. Maybe we don't. There's a whole cake factory scene though, and that's always been fun for me. Hang the journal in a public place and invite people to draw here. So this I made into my autograph book. I sewed a little autograph book by itself and then glued it in. And that's what I use to collect autographs, and they're all over the place because for some reason Disney characters, when you hand them your autograph book, they decide to turn it around and do all kinds of things and don't just sign it like a normal person. But I have all my autographs. Funny story about Tink and Rosetta and even Aladdin. So I actually got Tinkerbell and Aladdin and Jasmine to break character. And if you know Disney, you're not supposed to do that. Like, it's a big no-no. Tinkerbell and Rosetta, they were in like their fairy hollow, and Tinkerbell kind of lost her face and her whole demeanor, and she just looked at me and she was like, "You made this?" Like, just straight faced. And Rosetta, trying to get her like back on track, was like, "Yeah, Tink, she's a Tinker Fairy like you." And then Tinkerbell was like, "Oh my goodness, you're a Tinker Fairy," and like got back into it. With Aladdin and Jasmine, the characters aren't supposed to know about technology if it's not in their movie, I'm pretty sure. And Aladdin said something about like taking a video of it, which I already had. It was on my Instagram. And I think his handler, like the people who are with the characters, the people who take the photos, not his handler, but there are handlers for like the costume characters. But anyways, the people taking the photos were like, you don't know what that is, Aladdin? And he was like, "Oh, right." Jasmine actually broke my friend's autograph book. She cracked the spine and all of the pages fell out, and for the rest of the Disney trip she was like, "Freaking Jasmine broke my autograph book." Because it was so unwieldy and she had to like glue them or tape them back in as best she could. This all here is dryer lint. Same friend who I walk the journals with. He, for some reason, his family, they have a basket of dryer lint, and we were fortunate enough to have dryer lint of different colors because dryer lint for jeans usually is darker and there was lighter, I don't know. But I made Totoro because that was the color and it was soft, and that's how I pictured Totoro. Originally it was just Totoro, and then I drew the branch and the leaves, and it got cut, but my friend had written Totoro in I think Japanese, because he took Japanese and is now living over in, or is going to live over in China. This page could have been so good. It really could have. And then I think I'm kind of like Jenna Marbles with my too much gene. It just I didn't have an eye for design, but this was Trace Your Hand, and I thought of the part in Brother Bear where they go and see the cave paintings from the indigenous people. I have the original Pete's Dragon from the 70s, and let me tell you, what a movie. This page was drawn with glue, so I thought of how Elliot could go invisible, and I think I showed it in the tour. I lined him with hot glue. Like, I did pencil underneath and then I traced it with a hot glue gun. Hot glue features heavily in this. This was the Big Hero 6. Instead of sample, I put scan because he scans you. And I did like kind of evidence of feelings. Document a boring event in detail. I don't remember what I was gonna put, but I have it written down. This is my actual hair. This is my hair. It was creative drawing using your hair, and I figured Blonde and I have very dark hair, and the image of her cutting it is pretty iconic, and Mulan signed this, and we met her in this, in her kimono, not her warrior costume. I had to go to the hairdresser, and I had to ask them very awkwardly. I was like, this might be an awkward suggestion or question, but could I have some of my hair cuttings? And they thought it was no problem. They like didn't think it was weird at all that I wanted a Ziploc baggie of some of my hair. But it is clean. It's clean hair. It was freshly washed. It was still wet, I think, when I put it in the Ziploc baggie. You know, it wasn't like I just cut some of my hair. Like, this is clean hair straight from the hairdresser, and it's mine. So if you ever need a DNA sample, find my Disney Reckless Journal. Glue in a photo of yourself you dislike and deface it. I didn't dislike this photo, but it was the only one that I could add a mustache to my face. And if you've seen Saving Mr. Banks, she has this whole scene, P.L. Travers has this whole scene where she got very upset that Mr. Banks had a mustache. This is another one of my favorite pages, and I absolutely loved this movie, and I'm very sad that it didn't do well and then 2D animation fell apart, because I thought this movie was very good. I thought it was an awesome movie. I think it really celebrated 2D animation. Evangeline, the star and the Firefly, is more romantic than any story I've ever seen. This was draw using abnormal lines. Abnormal writing utensils, not abnormal lines. I used a spoon for the frogs, I'm pretty sure, a plastic fork, a tissue, like a Kleenex tissue. This was plastic fork. I think I used a Q-tip. I had these weird plastic shapes that connected together. They were like snowflakes, and they connected together and you could build stuff. I think I used that as well. Yeah, for the lines, I think. Fill in this page when you are really angry, and behind it you can't really see, but it says I hate lips. I wasn't very good at drawing lips, and I drew Tinkerbell throwing her tantrums. And then in cases like this with real people, this is when I first started to learn how to draw people. Like, this was where I learned how I draw, essentially. Write or draw with your left hand. I'm left-handed, so this page in Reckless Journal is always fun because I do stuff like this where I draw correctly, or I'll use my right hand and I'll change it or something like that. But the classic exchange of "you cheated" and Jack Sparrow goes, "pirate." I put lefty. This was gonna be, I think, an Ariel page where she wears the sail. I was gonna put the pages of the journal all around her. I really love this page. You're gonna rattle the stars, you are. I just really love this quote, and it was a sign what he wanted to say, and that's what I wanted to say, so I did this. I did Treasure Planet. Create a non-stop line. I did Ponyo. Still haven't seen Ponyo. And this is one line that I've colored in, but it is all one line. And then hidden on this page is my secret message that's recommended later in the book. But I'm not going to tell you what it is. Space for negative comments. I think this was going to be for villains. A villains page. Draw lines with your pen or pencil. Lick your finger and smear the lines. When Stitch is licking all over the tube that he's in the beginning when he's a prisoner. Lose this page. I have it even written in pencil. I don't think you can see it. You can see it barely. It says Louis from the Robinsons and his notebook. When he rips up his notebook, I had this big thing where it was gonna be, you know, throwing the pages out of the book. I'm sad because I had how I was gonna do that in my mind, and now I don't. So, 4-letter words. It was going to be any 4-letter word that relates to Disney. So like Dory, Nemo, and those are the only ones I can think of right now. But Bolt, you know, 4-letter Disney characters, 4-letter Disney words. Ursula is my favorite villain. I love her a lot. I think even though she's a villain, being a girl who grew up chubby, and her being the way she is and being confident in her body and her body language is something I admired. So this was glue in pages from a magazine and circle words that you like. So I circled words that that involved Ursula, and then for boss I put her head right where the O is. There's a lot of rumors about her design and how she's heavily inspired by the drag queen Divine, which I believe is also true, but I had a friend who I went to a regional high school, so I didn't go to this elementary school. Her elementary school, her 3rd grade teacher was very, very proud of the fact that she had the animator who worked on The Little Mermaid, and he said he based it off of her. So that's, and she showed me the picture, and it looks very much like Ursula, her 3rd grade teacher. So I don't know if her 3rd grade teacher was lying or what. Maybe that's some new inside Disney trivia, but something to think about. I don't have the proof, so don't come for me. This was just something my friend told me, and she showed me in high school. But don't come for me. I don't know. That's not official Disney trivia. I never saw this movie, so I don't even remember what the title of this movie is. Is it Trains? Is it Planes? Like they did a Cars spinoff and they had planes. Yeah, I don't even remember what movie this came from. I just know he was like a crop duster who wanted to be like a fighter pilot or something. I don't know. I don't remember the movie. Give away your favorite page. I had an idea for that. I don't remember. This page took me ages. So, Sorcerer in the Stone. Yeah. The Sword in the Stone is a movie that I didn't have, but I had these, like I was saying, my volumes of Disney Golden books, and I had the Sword in the Stone story from there. I watched this movie and heard his Hockety Pockety song. I thought it would be a good idea to write the Hockety Pockety song, which is already gibberish, backwards. And backwards. Let's just say it was an ordeal, and I deeply regret it. Yzma's skin tone. What an adventure this was. So the reason why Yzma looks very not crisp is because she's covered in layers of glue stick, crayon, marker, a lot of things to try and get her skin tone, which is like this purpley gray. Didn't happen. Because the only purple this set had, I think, was this bright one. It didn't have a good purple for her. Let's just put it that way. This space is dedicated to an internal monologue. What better monologue is there than Yzma's plan to kill Kuzco? I had to, of course, find the screen caps for this exact, the way it looked in the movie. So I had scrapbook paper, I sewed a booklet together and glued it in. I'll turn him into a flea, a harmless little flea. And then I'll put that flea in a box, and then I'll put that box inside of another box, and I'll mail that box to myself. And when it arrives, I'll smash it with a hammer. It's brilliant, 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 I tell you. Genius, I say. Voices are no extra charge. So yeah, I found the exact screen grabs for that. And the next, scrub this page, this was going to be a Cinderella page, because she didn't have her own page, she just had her ugly stepsisters, so I thought a Cinderella page would be good. This page here took the longest, I think, even longer than the Mary Poppins one, and is much more beloved than the Mary Poppins one. This is my Chronicles of Narnia page. I found the actual wardrobe and tried to mimic the designs on the side of the wardrobe. I have Aslan, and it is finished, which is a quote from Jesus, because Aslan is a Jesus figure. I was a Baptist too. So the door opens up, you see the coats, and then the branches, and then beyond that is the lamppost to Narnia. I love the look of this page. I love Aslan's. I love this green and these like brown and yellows together. Like Crayola markers, the super tips is what I used for this whole book. Really have some good colors, not gonna lie. They're not the best quality, obviously the black is turning green and things like that, but they're good for just practicing colors and things like that, and if you want to get into markers. Like I know they're not alcohol markers, but they blend very well. Rather layer on top of each other than blending, like you can't do gradients and things like that, but to get started with markers, I fully swear by them. I had a great time with them. Thank you, Meatball. So much. Thank you. Sleep with the journal, describe the experience, famous song, Once Upon a Dream. I made Philip's, he's Prince Philip, right? Yeah. I made Philip's head too big. Go figure. But she's dancing with him, like in the song. Close the journal, write, and scribble something on the edges. I did, originally, you can see, and I don't know if it's definitely not readable anymore, but it says, it's the quote, and to think, I think it's, and to think it all started with a mouse, or maybe just it all started with a mouse. And that's a famous quote from Walt. A list of more ways to wreck this journal. Obviously there were gonna be Disney themed ways to wreck it. Stain log, I plan on traveling a lot, and I was gonna bring this and get dirt from the different places I traveled, just like mold. And then I never even did my own dirt. Doodle over top of this page and in the margins. I have a feeling this was gonna be Winnie the Pooh. I don't remember. Find out a way to attach these two pages. I thought of the really sad scene in Dumbo where she cradles him through the bars before she gets taken away. Rub this on a dirty car. It was gonna be cars, obviously. Collect the letter W. This was gonna be all W's from Walt Disney logos, I think. Collect dead bugs here. That's what this reference was for here. It was gonna be his stunned face and then have like dead bugs taped. I think in my old journal I actually have dead bugs on it. Taped down, obviously, sealed away. But yeah, there's some strange ones in here. Drum on this page with pencils. I think I was gonna do Max from the Goofy movie because I think he drums. I think. I don't remember. Oh, maybe I think this was gonna be my George of the Jungle page for the George of the Jungle song. I think that's what this was gonna be. Float this page. So I used the Wreck This Journal page and turned it into the car. And I took a picture of it so that way, because this was gonna have to be flattened and put back in the book, I would know that I actually made a car and Max and Goofy. I did freeze this page in a block of ice. I found a Tupperware container that was big enough for this page and I froze it. And because I didn't use markers, it didn't all bleed and everything, I used colored pencils, which turned out to work out just fine. One of my favorite autographs is on this page. I met a Green Army Man in Hollywood Studios Park. I think I did hide this one. I hid this one and my other hide this in the neighbor's yard page at the same time, and that one got a lot more washed off and out than this one did, and I don't know why. They were hid like in the same spot. Roll this journal down a large hill. I did Wally and the huge hill of garbage he stacks up around him. Sell this page. I don't remember. It was gonna be whoever wanted what. Turn the book into a shoe. I think this was gonna be a Cinderella page because, you know, the slipper. Slide this page face down a hallway. Don't remember. Smush something colorful. Once again, don't remember. I have it written down if I had an idea. And then squirt liquid here. This is white out, but I remember the scene in Fox and the Hound where she squirts milk into his mouth from the cow's udder. And I have the whole very sad, poetic speech that she has. Cover this page in tape. When I got the Disney hole punch, I got the Disney washi tape, and it was a no-brainer. And then I got a Steamboat Willie era Mickey, and a quote from Walt. It's kind of fun to do the impossible. And I have a lot of scrapbooking supplies, so I had these stickers already. Favorite, I know I said Hocus Pocus is one of my favorites. Actually, kind of all Halloween movies except for Nightmare Before Christmas are my favorites. Halloween Town, being normal is vastly overrated, says Grandma. But I got the big, it was trace your toes, and so I traced my toes without really having a plan, and I thought they looked like pumpkins or gourds, and so that's how I came up with this page. So that's my Disney Wreck This journal. That's how I made it. That's all the Easter eggs and anecdotes I could think of from it, and you know, just kind of the backstory. I have a feeling this video is going to be very, very long when it's all put together. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you're not into the talking, which I don't know why you would have stuck around till the end of the video, but I do have the voiceless one, like I mentioned before, where it's just me flipping through this, but a lot of people seemed really interested, and I had questions about it and other stuff, and I thought it would be useful for them to learn about the story behind this and how they could make a Wreck This journal work for them like I made it work for me. Let me know, guys. I thought I was done with this thing, and I thought I was done with the Wreck This journaling, but it seems like you guys really, really love it. Let me know, guys, if you want me to finish this, or which incomplete page you would like to see done first, or give me suggestions, or, well, I don't know. I have most of it planned out, but if you guys have suggestions of a movie that I didn't mention, that you personally love and want included, I might come back to it. I might do more of it if you guys are really into it. If this video does well, we'll see. That's all for now. Let me know if there's anything else you want to know about, what your favorite page was, what your favorite Disney movie growing up was. Put anything down in the comments below. I will check them out personally and respond to you. My channel's pretty small, so I've got time to see all your comments and all your likes and all that stuff. I really, really appreciate it. If you want to see more from me and more of my videos, I'm trying to put out new videos consistently on some level, and would really appreciate your feedback and appreciate everything you guys do. I appreciate every single one of you who's already subscribed to me, and I look forward to seeing some new faces soon if you guys liked this. So thanks so much. Bye for now, guys. I'll see you next time. My dad is coming home. My dad's coming. Should I stop? I get really embarrassed. Here's Dad. Okay, we're back. Just kidding. How many interruptions will this video have? Thank you, Pearl. We know that face. Oh, Meatball, thank you. We love interruptions. List of more ways. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Otis. But yeah. Yes? Yeah. Oh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Bye for now, guys. I'll see you next time. Thank you, Tigger.